everybody catch up that's watching this? Yeah, okay, if anybody does. Anyway, we're doing factoring with and without recourse. Accounts receivable 400,000. Fee's going to be 3%, the factor fee, and the reserve is going to be 5%. The fee is going to be what? For the company, it's going to be a what? They're selling the receivables. It can't be interest expense. So what is it? Oh, what's the fee going to be? It's going to be a loss on factoring. That's going to be the loss, right? For the factor, what's it going to be? That's how they earn their revenue, factoring revenue. Got it? Okay? That's how they earn their revenue. They have expenses to run their business, right? That's how they earn their revenue. Okay? It's not interest revenue because they're not loaning money, right? And for the company, it's not interest expense because they're not borrowing money. They're selling receivables. Big difference between this and assignment, right? If it's assignment, you have a note payable and a note receivable, and it's interest income. Everybody good with this? And interest revenue, interest income, and interest expense. Everybody's got the distinction between those two, right? Done it a couple times, okay? All right, so then what we want to do, one other thing. They estimate that another, I don't know, 2%, they estimate that 2% is never going to be collected, right? So what are we going to call that thing? Their estimate of what's not going to be collected out of that 400,000 is 2%. What is that? Recourse. That's going to be the recourse liability. You bet it is. Okay? Are they going to tell, now the company knows about this, are they going to tell the factor? Of course not. If they told the factor give them less money. They don't want those receivables then, right? Okay? So, no, it's an independent deal. All right, so what do on both sets of books? We're going to do both sides. Maybe we'll move the factor over and let's write it right here. Can you guys do it? Let's record it on company's books and on the factor's. For the company that's selling the receivables, you're selling them. And for the factor. And first what we'll do is without recourse, okay? On both sides. So go for it. Record that. Both sides without recourse, okay? What happens? It's real simple. Do without recourse first. This time in the semester, all my principals on the left. No, this was the last. And they understood that this is practice. Three countries. And you get lots of chances to always do things again or do something. The guy who went to school, I used to teach at George University. He became a partner in CPA for a long time. His girlfriend pregnant in college. Graduated with the minimum GPA you could to graduate. It took him 4 or 5 years to pass the CPA exam because he had to learn the material after he graduated. He got to be a partner. So that worked. I was responsible, and then when I got divorced, I was irresponsible. That guy was very responsible. Do it sometime in your life if you haven't done it. Be irresponsible. Yeah. Not so long and so bad that you get out of jail or something. Or dead. Can't close to both of those. Don't be too much of a mistake. All right, guys, what do you want to do? On the company's books, what do they sell? The receivables, what'd they get for them? Cash. What do you bet they debit cash and credit accounts receivable? I mean, you got to do that. How much receivables did they sell?
400,000.
400,000, of course. So let's put the 400,000 in here. I don't know why I made it so tight. Okay. And then what are we going to do with this fee and reserve and recourse liability? There is no recourse liability because it's without recourse, right? Okay. So what would you do? What's the fee going to be?
Loss on factoring.
That's the loss on factoring. Yeah. How much?
12,000.
Yeah, it's 3% of the 400,000. That's all there is to it. It's just not a big deal. Okay, and then what about the reserve? What's going to happen is they're going to hold back the reserve and not give you the money until they collect it. So do what? Do from factory. Got it. Just like that.
20,000.
Okay, it's 5% of the 400 is 20,000. So how much cash are they going to give us?
368.
Yeah, 32 away from 400 is 368. Everybody got that? Okay, then what's the factor going to do? I bet you anything they take the account receivable. They now own them. They're going to collect them. They're their receivables now. They bought them. Okay, and then what do they have? They gave up the cash, I bet. How much? It's got to be the same number. 368,000. Everybody agree? Okay, and then what? What do they credit?
Due to factory.
Yeah, they got to do two to match that one. When they collect the money, if they do, right, due to company, I guess, 20,000, right?
Then they'd have
If they collect it, they give it to them, right?
interest revenue.
Okay, interest revenue, I know the author calls it that, but it's not interest.
Revenue from factory.
Yeah, I think it's factor revenue. I like that better, right? It's their main source of revenue if they're a factoring company, right? So call it factoring revenue. I think that's a mistake in the book, but I've seen it on the CPA exam that way too, so I think it's a mistake there. You know, as soon as you pass the CPA exam, you can decide what you think is right. I'm not kidding you. It just doesn't make sense to call it interest revenue if you didn't loan money. It just bugs me, right? Or interest expense if you didn't borrow money. How could it possibly be, right? You sold your receivables. It's a loss. And it's not a gain for the factor, of course, because they didn't do anything to gain. That's how they earn revenue, right? No expenses associated with it. All right. So then let's do right away then. What if it is with recourse? What changes? And this is just not a big deal. What's going to change with recourse? That means that if your customer doesn't pay the factor, they can come after you for it, right? So with recourse. What would it be? How about for the company? They still sell their accounts receivable.
400,000.
It's 400,000.
Don't you still have a due from factor and a loss?
I think so. Cash, loss, due from factor. Do those change? No. Well, I take it back. The loss does.
Yeah, the loss becomes.
Loss is going to change. So it's 368,000 cash, right, guys? It's going to be due from of 20,000. But then what else do we have? We need one more piece. So it's going to change the loss in here. Yeah, you got to get this recourse liability recorded. So what I'm saying is, I think I'm never going to get this amount, right? I think out of that 20 that the due from, I think part of it I'm never going to see, right? How much? 2% in our little example of $400 or $8,000. And what do we call that? Recourse liability. Everybody got it? Okay. So then what happens to my loss, of course? If you had a loss already of 12, what happens to your loss if it's going to be more by how much?
It'll be 20,000.
Yeah, it's going to be 12 plus the 8. You got it. 20,000. Does everybody see it? Makes your loss bigger. Because you want to be conservative, so you estimate what you're never going to collect and add it to your loss. Why don't we tell the factor about it? Because they give us less money. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so, you know. All right. Information asymmetry, right? Okay. All right. What do you want to do? Asymmetric information. What do you want to do here on the factor side? Yes. Of course it's the same because they don't know about the recourse liability. Okay? Everybody good? All right, now what we want to do, let's do this. Let's do different amounts collected, okay? So first, let's do without recourse. We'll put without recourse over here, okay? Okay, first, let's do without recourse. What if I had, let's see, A, B, and C for the two companies. So we'll put the company over here, okay? And we'll put the factor over here. And this is far more complex than I give you in one problem, right? I give you pieces of the problem. Oh, that's right, it's take-home exams. What the hell am I doing here? One. Really? So you don't mind burning 3 hours of your life working on this. Okay, so here we go. I want you to do these entries for me. Cash received on the receivables, right? Cash received. Everybody got the idea? Cash received on the receivables is $400,000. Got it? Do both sides. It's cash received was 400,000. And then let's do cash received is $390. And then let's do cash received actually I want to do 4 of them. This will be fun. That's how we want to do it. Okay, let's do cash received on C. Let's try, let's say 490, or 390 rather. Let's do 375. And then on D, let's do, it's a disaster. Cash received is $360,000. Go. You see what you're doing? Journal entries for both, right? For those 4 different levels. And this is without recourse. So it's where we recorded this, right? Both cases. Pretty good? Without recourse. Go for it.
Using like the original numbers.
Yeah, using the original numbers. So what I did was I factored them, right? I got 368,000 for them. I gave them the 400,000 receivable. I recorded my loss of 12, and then due from factor 20, and then these guys recorded the other side of it, of course. So now what happens? And let's say it takes 1 month. It's all within the month. Okay, just to keep life simpler. We could do it a number of months. It wouldn't make any difference to that month, right? Okay. Guess what? It's debit cash in every case for whoever gets the cash. Put that accounts receivable for them too. And keep going. Who has the receivables? Who owns them? Yeah. Who's going to collect the cash? Fact. Of course. Put it in their books. Just let this become common sense, you guys. Don't memorize stuff like this. Don't memorize. Don't memorize. Right? Don't do it. Way too much. True? Way too much. Let yourself think through each one. I was in a meeting yesterday. Somebody who was in a relatively powerful position to other people. But then a dispute with them over what should be done. And they said, you need to think. You should just think. You want to get somebody to do something? You just want them to hate you. I do that to you guys all the time. I just realized that. You should just think, damn it. At least you know I'm kidding, right? I hope. This person was not kidding. They were serious. If you disagree with me, your thought process is all screwed up. Right? Because I know everything that's happening. So what? It's only true when it comes to Oregon football. I disagree with you, that's right. Wasn't that something, that goaltending call? was the right call, it would have never gone in. You see the angle on that thing?
Yeah. It was like a
But it was
foot short
close,
of the goal.
but it was close to the basket, and it was on the way down. Well, it might have actually somehow hit the goal, and you can't quite tell the
Bottom
angle.
of the net.
They would have been down at the bottom of it. But you know, weird things happen. They hit and spin around in the air, and you know.
Like that last second Cincinnati shot.
Oh,
We're talking about that.
I know. It's cool, but wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't care who won that game, but it was a neat game. I got to watch that one.
Yeah, I had decision. I would watch a couple problems and then turn right on to that one. And I watched a couple problems and then turn right on to that one.
Well, when you get D's,
Yeah, I know.
That's March 20.
That's fine. That's true.
It's worth it. Yeah.
That's really true.
It's a marathon, guy. It's a marathon. Just keep working. Work as much as you can make yourself work. That's the trick. That's true in your career, too. What you're willing to do and you make yourself do. You guys got all those done? Come on, it's really simple. For the factor debit cash each time, okay? Credit accounts receivable each time. Then have the factor give whatever money they need to the company, right? And then have the company record it. 2 entries on the factor's books for each one. 1 entry on the company's books for each one. Really was impressive. Well, you gotta work like that all.
Okay. Oh, my test?
You gotta work like that all the time. You know, for exams.
For example. Yeah. Sure.
You know, when you're working in a major project, the client wants it.
That's what I have a project due today that I can't start thinking about.
For another client.
No, it's for work.
Oh, for work. Oh, that's bad. You shouldn't have stuff you have to worry about at school. True. Are they paying you $50,000 a year?
$850 a week.
That's good. That's not enough. $850 a week.
Yeah.
It's pretty for a college kid.
Yeah.
It's
like $35,000 a year maybe for part time. I can have as many as I please.
Yeah.
I just have 2 days. I was supposed to.
How much does that work out to?
22.
Is it 22? Yeah.
Before tax.
Before tax.
Yeah.
I would cross the street for that.
Do what?
I would cross the street for $22.
If you were 20 years old. Yeah. Yeah, right.
22? That's
$22. Do what?
It said 22 years old.
For $22
Oh.
an hour.
Oh, when I
If you
was
were
20.
20.
Yeah, when I was 20, I probably worked for the equivalent of that or less.
Yeah.
When I was 21, I did make it more. Worked for our parents.
I started in October.
Slappers.
They had said I'd be there for 3 weeks, and I've been there since October.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this is the last project I'm supposed to do, so I'll find out today. In 6 days.
Who is it?
Invesco.
Oh, cool. That's a good job. Yeah, and they do tend to work you to death. You're supposed to tell them you're screwing up the coursework.
I will.
Because what you need is that my daughter worked for him. And she turned out okay. You have to tell them, but seriously, you know, I have to because enough raises will hire me when I graduate. And then they'll laugh and say, yeah, you can work for school. As long as you're valuable, you're valuable. They'll screw up your life for you. For $22 an hour. Just think about $200 an hour later, okay? Please. Really go after it. Nice. Bet you don't really make that much an hour if you work more hours per year. Everybody got them? Got something down? Who gets the money? Factor. What are they going to do? Debit cash. How much on the first one? $400,000. Everybody agree? What are they going to credit?
Receipt.
Accounts receivable, how much? In fact, they're always gonna credit accounts receivable 400,000, I guess, right? If they're giving up, they got a little, I don't know, yeah, probably. Okay, we'll get rid of it. Then what are they gonna do?
Yeah, pay the company.
Yeah, you gotta get rid of this due to the company, right? So it's gonna be debit due to company, everybody agree with that? For how much?
20,000
20,000, and credit what?
cash.
Are they done? Yeah, that's it. What does the company do?
Debit cash 20 and credit due from.
No kidding. They're gonna get rid of their due from here, and they're gonna get their cash in. Everybody good? This is just not hard. Due from factor. They get harder when they get a little more complicated. Maybe a little bit harder. Everybody good? Let's do B. Okay, is this going after what you were kind of sort of?
Yeah, I just want to get the report.
You want the with recourse? Yeah. All right. So then let's do 390,000. What happens? They debit cash. How much?
390.
390,000. Then what are they going to credit?
Accounts receivable for 400.
Accounts receivable for the 400 probably.
And
They can either do it now or they can do it later, right? You can put in that entry, or you can put in the next entry, doesn't matter. Okay, and then debit what? Due to, because it is the problem of the company. That's why they had the withholding, right? That's why they held back some of it. Okay, so that's 10,000 of the 20, the 20 that they owed them. So how much are they going to give them? Just 10, right? Due to the company. So the company's only going to get 10,000, aren't they? And they're going to credit cash. And then what? The company does what, of course? They receive the cash, how much? Oh, 10. Okay, good. All right, gotcha. Okay, then what? They're going to want to get rid of 20,000 of what, though?
due from factor.
Yeah, the due from's got to go away in any case, huh? Everybody have this on their papers? I need another 10. What is it? It's more loss. My loss wasn't 12, it's 22. Everybody got it?
If we were to make 2 journal entries, would you count that on? Like,
No,
no.
be all right, but why would you?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd probably record it just in one. It'd be my cash receipts journal, I debit cash, right? Oh, I don't know, it depends how your cash receipt journal works in the computer. You might debit cash and credit due from, and then have to make a journal entry for the other part. It'd be nicer if you programmed your computer to do it all in one, wouldn't it? Yeah, but you always try to do things like that. If I'm factoring all the time, I'd probably have it set up so it. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so we just record the deal and then unwind the deal. So 375, what are they going to do? They're going to debit cash, how much? 375. And then what? Yeah, we could do the accounts receivable for 400. We could say that. If we're really giving up, we think it's done, we could do that. Okay, I should have left a little more room. What is the other debt? What are the debits?
Debit due to for 20.
Yeah, due to goes away. Due to the company for 20 to the company. And how much more do I need?
5,000.
5,000. What's that going to be for them? Maybe hit allowance for doubtful accounts if they set up an allowance. Does that make sense? They could have set up an allowance because they had the receivables. Debit, bad debt, expense, credit allowance. Or you can just put it in bad debt expense now, direct write-off. Or you can record it as a loss, right? Be all right. There's a whole variety of ways, right? The authors don't really show you this, do they? But that's basically what you do, right? Loss is fine. So now they're incurring the loss, right? On that extra 5,000. Everybody good? What's going to happen over on the company's books? What's going to happen over on the company's books? They're going to get nothing, right?
So loss on factoring.
They're going to have loss on factoring, but it is limited to what? The 20,000 that was the what? Due from factoring, right? Because this is without recourse, right? So the due from factor of 20,000 goes away, and they're done. Okay? What happens with 360? Because I don't need the 360. It just gets worse.
Just a bigger loss.
It's just a bigger loss, right? The cash would be 360. It'll make a difference when it is with recourse though. 360 due to company, how much? 20, everybody staying with me? Gonna have a bigger loss now, obviously, because the account receivable is going away. Loss or bad debts or allowance, whatever they use, whatever they do. Okay, and then what's that gonna be? 20 this time, okay? Another 15 added to it, of course. Loss just keeps getting bigger. They're taking the risk, aren't they? Okay? What's gonna happen over here? Loss on factoring goes up what, how much? 20 grand. That's their whole exposure. I guess it's okay to do two of them, make the point. Due from factor, 20,000 is gone. Okay, how many of you had all those? 1, 2, what the hell? What's going on here? I haven't studied it yet, huh? Pretty simple, isn't it? Really pretty simple. Okay? Keep it straight in your head is the key thing. All right, so let's try the with recourse then, huh? What the heck happened here? Okay. All right. Let's do this side. Okay? So same amounts, right? Go ahead and do it. A, B, C, D. Same cash flows. 400, 390, 375, and 360. This is the company side that sold the receivables factor. This is the factor side. They bought the receivables. And yes, this is a source of financing, right? It's a way to finance your business, but it's not borrowing. Everybody agree? Look at those. I can burn 50 minutes doing all of that. Amazing. It's a skill I've acquired over 30 years of teaching. Get an hour and teach whack back them to the inputs. Then I go through grade. We tell the students towards the end. We cover exactly the same thing day after day after day. that there's a command on this thing where you could have it type what you write, learn your handwriting, and it'll type it. I'm never going to do that. Think you could ever really learn my handwriting? My numbers. Plus my whole personality would go away. It would look good like I did in Excel or something. The danger with using typewritten numbers in a computer is it makes all your mistakes look right. Sad. Even though it's easy to read. You guys ready? Got them done? Yes? No? Yes? Yes? No? Not yet? Gotta be able to do this kind of stuff fast and quick. I'm not a CPA and I'm not fine. Really gotta be able to get fast and take home exams too to run out of time. It seems like when I start doing take home exams, so it's how long they went. Really can't. Jack made everybody come in for his classes Saturday and Sunday. They sent me friends in 212. Because they're missing the snow you're in, Doc.
Yeah.
Maybe you're the one that told me that.
And there was someone else that told me about it too.
Then he's gonna make it come to class at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
So,
When I was chair, I wouldn't let Alan do classes at 8 in the morning. Alan refused. Probably a good thing. He's probably insane. He is. Sorry, he knows he is. He's a good teacher, though. I try to be a little eccentric, you know, be entertaining for people. Alan is extremely eccentric. He's not even trying. Have you seen him run around yet with the truck in 215? We don't have one in here. Those metal boxes, you know, you're supposed to set there and use the podium. And does he do that anymore? He draws a picture of headlights, a mount or something on the front of it, runs around the room as he teaches.
He hasn't done the truck yet.
Cost, volume, profit stuff. I probably just spoiled it for you. Yeah.
Oh. He put a whole bunch of chairs on the tables.
Yeah. Has he thrown anything? Thrown erasers or anything?
Money. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't even notice that anymore. I tell my wife what I say to you guys, and she's like, oh my gosh, when are you going to take a class with me? I used to try to get her to help me grade, but then she did it once. And she counted everything right. And I told her, what is this, you know? Well, yeah, but you shouldn't mark that off. They tried. They just wrote down a name and a number, and you gave them credit. So I think she just didn't want to do it. My dad did that too. He told me when I was really young that we could not do laundry. So respectful. He said, you never have to do laundry ever. Just do it once. Take a whole box of soap, put it in the washing machine, right? With the clothes, and just let it go, right? And the soap goes everywhere. You have to clean it up, right? Or help clean it up, but then you never ever get asked to do laundry again the rest of your lives. Like that one? Yeah, it wouldn't work for women. Men are too smart for that one, right? We just wear dirty clothes. We can solve it. Okay, let's do it. What would the company do in this case? They get, the factory do. It's 400,000 coming in. Debit,
Cash.
credit,
Accounts receivable 400.
then what?
Then you do the 20,000 due to in cash for 20,000.
Yeah. Due to factor. What's due to company? Can't keep them straight. Due to company, 20. Does this sound familiar to you guys? Yeah, it's exactly the same, isn't it? It is exactly the same. Nothing changed. Right? Of course not. They don't have any recourse liability. Right? Are they always gonna be the same all the way down? No, because what is the deal though? Why not?
Recourse.
Well, they're gonna have recourse and they can come after them for it, right? Okay, that's it, okay? So what's the company gonna do here? They get that 20,000
Debit
cash,
20,000 cash and
credit,
due from,
due from factory. This just making sense, guys? Okay? It's exactly the same as that one too, wasn't it? If they get it all, sure. Let's try 390. Debit cash. 390. Credit accounts receivable. Oops, didn't leave any room. Okay, credit accounts receivable. 400. Debit what? 10 to due to go. Exactly the same as we did before, isn't it? It's the same. Okay. Then what?
debit cash for 10,000.
Credit cash
Oh, I thought you were.
for 10. And debit what? Due to company, right? Sure. Just the same as we had over there. Okay. Then what? Debit cash for 10 and credit.
Loss for 10.
Oh, you better debit loss. Loss on factoring for another 10 and 20
Credit due from factory.
due from factoring. Is that exactly the same too?
Yes.
Yes. So far, everything's the same
Next one,
in all of these four, right? Okay, those four there. Then things start getting a little different. What's going to happen? How much cash do they get?
375.
175,000. How much accounts receivables gone?
400.
The whole four. Okay, and then what?
Due
Company
to
goes down 10,000.
Due to company goes down by not 25.
20.
20, there's only 20, right?
Yeah.
And then we need 5 more. It's not going to be a loss. What's it going to be?
Due from.
Due from. So instead of, we got rid of due to company, and we now have a due from company. Everybody see it? So that, and you can use one account for that. If it's got a debit balance, it's a receivable. If it's got a credit balance, it's a payable. Sound good? Due to, due from, the slash in it, that kind of thing? Yeah.
How does the factory know though? Because if we don't tell them we have a recourse liability.
It doesn't matter if we have a recourse liability. They're going to come after us anyway, because it's with recourse.
But if we didn't tell them we had recourse, then how do they?
Oh, no, we know we have recourse. The contract, I see what's hanging in it. The contract says with or without recourse. If the contract says without recourse, if your customer doesn't pay the factor, you're free and clear.
Okay, so.
If it says with recourse, if your customer doesn't pay, they can come after you.
Okay.
Now, it might be the same for the factor anyway, because you might be broke too, right? But they have a little bit more protection that way. So if you want without recourse, you're probably going to have a higher factor fee, right? They're going to charge you more. If you're willing to accept with
Okay.
recourse, they might charge you a little less. Not much, because you're a bad credit risk anyway, or you wouldn't be factored. Because this interest rate is extremely high if you think about it in terms of borrowing, right?
Yeah.
The amount of cost of selling is horrendous. 3% upfront, 3% for 1 month.
So this is like a predetermined.
Yeah, what's the interest rate if this just goes for 1 month? Even if they collect all of it, what's the interest rate? They are charging you how much? How much is the factoring fee? 5%. We had 20,000, right? Take 20,000 and divide it by the 368,000 you borrowed. And then if they collect the money in 1 month, you get the idea? What percentage is that for 1 month?
5.5.
Yeah, take it times 12.
65.
You like that interest rate? Or would you rather go to the bank and borrow money? Why don't they go to the bank and borrow money? They're broke. They're on the road.
But why would anyone?
They got to pay their payroll, right?
Why would anyone be the
For the
factor?
cash. Oh.
Why would you be the factor?
Yeah, I mean.
For
You're
65%.
making 65%. Now, you might have some bad debts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but 65%, are you kidding me? Sure, it'd be a factor. It's like being a loan shark. Well, it's not illegal, but, okay? So, yeah. But it kind of is, right? But it's high risk business. Yeah, so they got to be paid well, but it can be real well. Okay, and you know that you can negotiate a 1% factor fee, right? It doesn't have to be 3%, right? That makes sense. And you negotiate how big the reserve is too, because you're not. If you think of this as borrowing, the reserve you're not, the reserve they have, not the recourse liability. The reserve they have, you're not getting that money either, so you didn't borrow that. You think of it as borrowing, right? So it's only 368. So you can negotiate that down too. You know, if your customers are really good and you're a good credit risk, and you just do business this way, you might get a more reasonable rate, right? Okay, 60%, you might get, 24% or something. Okay? All right, good. So now what's going to happen to the company? What do they need to get rid of? They have what on their books? Due from the factory needs to go away, right? You want to credit it? How much?
20.
We had 20 in there. Now what do you want to record? Are they getting any cash? No.
Loss.
Oh wait, I didn't finish the other one, did I? Or did I? Yeah, I did. I finished it. Okay. They're going to have a loss. And what else are they going to have?
Now they have to pay their company.
They owe them now, don't they? To the factory. Right? So they got rid of the receivable, and now we're recording a payable, right? How much do they owe them? We just said it was 5. How much is their loss? 25. See, last time their loss was 20. This time it's 25. Why? Because it's with recourse. They can come after you for the 5, right? They can come after you for that 5. So it made your loss 5 more. And it made the loss over for the factor 5 less, right? They don't have the loss. Instead, they have a due from, right? Everybody got it? Everybody good? So now what? Let's do the last one. What's it going to look like? How much cash do they get? Oh, I didn't finish. I left something on the books. I should not have left. I apologize. Did I do that on all of them?
Yep.
Oh, for God's sake. I screwed them all up. Nobody said a word. And let's go back. What should happen to the recourse liability?
It should go away.
Yeah, that 8,000 has to go away. Oh, that's going to change every single one of them. Darn it. Okay. Can't believe you guys let me do that. Okay, let's do them again. I would have missed every single one of them. Did that look funny to anybody? If you record a recourse liability, what happens, gang?
The loss is less if you collected all the money.
Yeah. You already recognized the 12,000 loss for the recourse liability, or the 8,000 loss for the recourse liability. So you don't have to record that loss, do you? Okay, so what would happen if you collect all the money here in A? This would look exactly the same because they don't know about the recourse liability, right, as we did. Okay, what would this one be?
The loss would only be 2,000.
Okay, well, 2.
Oh, wait,
no loss in
my
this
bad.
one.
Your
Yeah.
recourse liability, the debit.
You got to debit the recourse
Yeah,
liability.
you debit the recourse aid and then credit loss.
Yeah, if it's in the same year, credit the loss on factoring for 8. Because your loss on factoring you estimated to be how much? 20? And what did it turn out to be? You see, you estimated 8 that you're never going to collect, and you did collect it. So what would you say? My loss turned out to be only 12. Right? So the 20 here, right, loss, less this 8 is the 12. I apologize. Yeah, you got to get rid of your recourse liability. That's terrible. Does that make sense? You set it up, and you increased your loss by 8. Well, if you collected it all, you didn't really have that 8 loss, did you? Okay? And then, does that make sense? Then what happens in B? How much do we get in B?
We got 390.
Okay. And what do we think happens to them? Accounts receivable goes down by 400. What's the 10 going to go to? Due to the company. And then what are we going to do? Give them 10? Yeah, there's no loss here on these guys, right?
No, I mean for the company.
Their cash is going to go down by 10, and due to is the other 10. So that's the same, right? We had on the other side, with the without recourse. Okay, but what's going to happen with these guys? They're going to receive the cash at 10, that's true, but what do they want to get rid of?
They're gonna debit loss for 2 instead of 10, correct?
Because the recourse liability has to be what?
8,000.
They have to debit the recourse liability, right? Do they?
Yes.
For how much?
What would be
What's your recourse liability, guys?
8,000?
It's 8.
So it'd be
And you debit cash for 10, don't you?
Mhm.
So what else is there? Well, there's the due from. Don't forget the due from. There, you got it. And that's why you only have a what? Loss of 2. So he's absolutely right. You get a loss of 2, don't you? Additional loss of 2. That makes sense? Because they were 10 short and you thought they'd be 8 short. So you got 2 more loss to recognize. Right? You already recognized 12 plus 8. Good? Okay. Okay, let's try C, so we can keep this going. See if I can keep from screwing up again. Okay, what's going to happen with this one? How much cash?
375.
Okay. How much accounts receivable? How much due to?
20.
And what's the 5?
Due from.
Due from. There you go. So we had that one okay, didn't we? So we have a due from. What's going to happen on the other side? Now, are we going to give them any cash? Of course not, right? Okay. What are they going to do? The company. Got to get rid of the due from, right? What else do we have to get rid of? Recourse liability.
recourse liability of 8.
Okay, it's good, working pretty good. There's no cash. What else is there?
Due to, right?
What will they do from? Like, there's going to be a due to. Whoops. Outside. Due to is the liability key. Drives you crazy. Due to the factor. How much do we owe? 5. Okay, so how much loss are we going to have? Not 25 this time. Remember it was 25 that we had for the loss?
We have loss of 17.
With it, yeah. So how much, with an 8 recourse liability, what's it going to be? 17. Yeah. So with no recourse liability, it would have been 25. But we have a recourse liability of 8. We already recognized 8 of the loss, haven't we? Everybody agree? So my loss is going to be what? 20 I've already recognized, right? Plus another 17, 37. Okay? Get clobbered on this. All right, let's try D. What would D look like? How much cash?
360.
What do you want to do? You want to get rid of the due from? Or I'm sorry, get rid of the due to? Due to the company, how much is that?
20.
Still 20, that's 380. You're going to get rid of your account receivable of 400. So we could do this for any amount. What do we got? 20 more what?
Due from.
Due from company. So you can see that the company is really exposed, right, with recourse. Okay? Even with my screw up, did this make sense now? Now it does. Did I screw it up last time? I didn't. I did it right.
That's the first time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. On the video.
Yeah, you just have one loss.
Okay. So now what do you want to do? What are these guys going to have? They're going to get rid of their recourse liability. Always got to do that, right? 8.
And then due from for 20, due to for 8.
Due from factor
20.
20 goes away, and now we said we owed them how much?
8.
Well, wait a minute.
But wait.
We owe them 20, don't we?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Both of them have to be 20. Okay. So due to factor is 20. Yeah, so there's 40 shortfall there, isn't there? And we had 8, so what do we have left in here? 32,000 more loss, right? You're adding that loss to the original loss you had. Well, it was ugly. There's only 360 collected, right? out of 400, so, okay? And it all goes to us, the whole 40 lots.
When you say you don't want to tell them about the recourse, you just don't want to tell them how much you think the recourse is going to be?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't care. They know you're not going to tell them. That would help them evaluate how bad your receivables are. They don't care what you record. They just care that they can come back after you. They're going to evaluate whether or not you're going to be able to pay them to come back out. Okay? Gives them more protection. Less risk, more protection. Might charge you a slight smaller fee. Okay? Go away. Study hard. Don't watch me basketball.
Don't watch it.
Just avoid it. Just avoid it. Just say no.
Do you make a bracket?
Yeah, it's boring. Your kid's gonna win everything. What if they don't? You know
what
what?
if they don't?
If they do, it'll be, yeah, they should have. And if they don't, it'll be, way to choke. Right? Slackers.
Oh, the Kentucky.
Yeah, no. I really do believe that they should have forced Kentucky to split into two teams, have an A team and a B team.
They kind of do.
I know, but they should both have to play in the league and play each other and play for the national
They
championship.
do at the beginning of the
It'd be
year.
interesting.
How the blue light script.
They've got two teams that could beat both.
You said you were counting, right, that I had taken notes on the finance, operating.
Oh,
What's that?
is that really?
Yeah, I believe
Is that the only difference
Yeah,
you have?
that's the only thing, because I have the dividends that we can.
Do I have it?
$3.45.
You can show me that it doesn't, that that's the only difference. I should give you the credit. How much did it give you for it? Like
6 points.
6 points?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you keep on avoiding the question. I mean, 335.
Because when you get the tickets from, okay, we can look at 335, 340. No, 340.
Fine, I'm just saying, you know,
I like 380. But no,
You might be like that.